or we're probably booked 2 or 3 weeks in advance. And with that, just less stress, less worrying about when the job's going to come in, and a bit more control.
So Lee, can you quickly introduce yourself and your roofing company?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Lee. I run Mid and East Roofing, and we've been in the game for about 4 years now.
And before working with us, how were you getting your roofing jobs?
So it was mainly word of mouth, bit of check a trade, that kind of thing. Fine when it was busy, but when it was quiet, there was not much I could do about it really.
And what was the biggest challenge you were facing getting in that consistent work from bark, check a trade, and the word of mouth?
Yeah, so inconsistency would come up quite a lot, brilliant few weeks, but then, nothing other weeks. So I couldn't really turn it up or turn it down whenever referrals and things like that were coming through.
Cool. And how did the leads that you were getting from Bark Check a Trade compare to the leads that you're getting from us?
Well, before it was mainly tire kickers or else price shoppers, and with those other sites, because they were maybe getting shared to other companies, it was kind of a race to the bottom, in my opinion.
So Lee, what actually made you decide to work with Ruvex then? What kind of made you decide to work with us?
I suppose it was probably the time that was taken into, planning out how we were going to do things moving forward, asking me about, the areas that I wanted to cover, the job types, that kind of thing. So I kind of knew that you weren't just going to put up ads and hit and hope. It was more of a plan behind it.
And how quickly did you start seeing the leads come in? So obviously we know it takes 5 days for the campaign to get up and running, which we covered. But as soon as that campaign went live, when did you start sort of seeing the leads come in?
The leads came in pretty quickly. I would say it was probably the first day or so that I started getting leads in. And then as time went on, it started to ramp up nicely for us.
Exactly that. Yeah, it just gets more and more and more as time goes on. And how many leads and jobs have you actually generated since starting then? We'll say the first month, how many leads, how many jobs, how many did you quote, etc.?
Yeah, so it probably started with around 40 leads in the first month. And then from those, I was able to quote around 14 or 15. And I think we've now booked in around 7 jobs off the back of that, which is really nice.
Cool, perfect. And how has that sort of affected your business day to day? Would you say there's maybe less stress? You got a busier schedule? Have you been able to hire anyone else?
Yeah. So obviously, whenever the second month came in, we were getting more booked jobs, which is nice. But now at this stage, we're probably getting, or we're probably booked 2 or 3 weeks in advance. And with that, just less stress, less worrying about when the job's going to come in, and a bit more control.
Do you feel like you've seen a return on your investment?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, you have to put some money in to make some money back. But with that, with our first month alone, we're looking at around 4.5K, profit or return on investment from the back of that. And it's paid for itself within the first few weeks. So I can't complain.
Lee, my final question for you is, would you recommend us to other roofers looking for more work?
Yeah, without hesitation, really, because, just make sure your process is ready. And once you have that sorted and you have the capacity to take in extra work, then yeah, it's a no-brainer, really.
Perfectly. Thank you very much for your time. All the best.